The first thing Maya Brooks noticed was the silence. Not the whole building, not the whole night. Just this hallway, thick carpet, soft lights, and the kind of quiet that made every tiny sound feel too loud. Her heels were the wrong size, borrowed from a neighbor who meant well but had different feet. Each step made a small, careful click that seemed to travel forward before she did. At the end of the hallway, beyond a pair of tall doors, she could hear the party breathing, glasses chiming, a low wave of laughter, a string quartet playing something smooth and expensive. Maya stopped near a mirror framed in gold and stared at herself like she was looking at a stranger. The dress was navy, simple, and not quite right at the shoulders. Her hair was pinned back too tightly because she had been afraid it would fall. She had a small clutch in her hand that she had bought used online, and inside it was a folded note from her daughter, Lily, written in pencil on lined paper. Be brave. Come home. Behind her, someone laughed, close, bright, and sharp. Maya turned and saw Elaine Hartwell, the CEO's wife, gliding down the hallway as if she owned the air. Elaine's gown caught the light in little flashes. Her earrings moved when she smiled, and her smile held no warmth at all. Elaine stopped just a few feet away and looked Maya up and down slowly, like inspecting a stain. You came, Elaine said, her voice gentle in the way some knives were gentle. Maya's throat tightened. She tasted the mint she had chewed in the car, trying to cover the smell of diner coffee that never really left her skin. She forced her shoulders back. You invited me, Maya said. Elaine's eyes narrowed, amused. Of course. It's always interesting to see someone step outside their usual world. Maya could feel heat rising in her face. She could also feel something else, an old muscle inside her that remembered how to stand still under pressure, how to answer without begging. Past the mirror, the tall doors opened, and a server stepped out carrying a tray. The server glanced at Maya for half a second, then at Elaine, then down again, as if deciding where safety lived. Elaine leaned closer. Her perfume was bright and sweet, like something expensive poured over something rotten. Don't worry, Elaine murmured. I've told everyone you're special. You're my little surprise. Maya's fingers tightened around her clutch. Inside it, along with Lily's note, was a thin folder, creased at the corners from being carried in a work bag. It held printed emails, notes, and a small list written in Maya's neat handwriting. Elaine thought she was the one holding the power, and for a moment, right there in that quiet hallway, Maya let herself feel the fear of it. The fear that she had walked into a room full of people who would see her the way Elaine wanted them to see her. The fear that she would be laughed at, pitted, or used as a story they told later over dessert. But then she heard the music swell, and something in her steadied. Because she hadn't come to be anyone's joke. She had come because her child needed her to keep standing, and because sometimes, when a door opened, even the wrong way, you either walked through it with your head up, or you stayed outside forever. If you enjoy stories that feel real and hit deep, take a second to like and subscribe. Then Maya lifted her chin, looked past Elaine's smile, and stepped toward the doors. Inside, the ballroom was brighter than the hallway, lit with warm chandeliers and glowing wall lamps that made everyone look a little softer than they really were. Round tables were dressed in white, and each place setting held polished silverware that reflected tiny glints of light like eyes. People turned when Maya entered, not all at once, but in ripples. Elaine entered right behind her, perfectly timed, her hand lightly on Maya's elbow, as if guiding a lost person. Everyone, Elaine announced, not too loud, but loud enough. This is Maya Brooks. Maya felt the attention hit her like a wave. She saw faces arranged into reactions, curiosity, polite surprise, quick judgment. Some smiles were real. Most were careful. A few were already amused, as if they had been prepared for this moment. At the head of the room, near a small stage where a microphone stood waiting, Adrian Hartwell looked up, the CEO. Maya had seen him in photos on news articles that showed him shaking hands, cutting ribbons, standing beside shiny buildings. In person, he looked less polished than the images suggested. His suit fit well, but his posture carried a kind of constant weight, like he was always listening for the next problem. His eyes met Maya's. He didn't smile the way the others did. He just stared, as if trying to place a memory he wasn't sure he had. Elaine's hand slid off Maya's elbow. "Isn't she brave?" Elaine said, and her voice carried that sweetness again. "A single mother. She works as a waitress. And she's here tonight, among all of us. I thought it would be inspiring." A low laugh traveled through a small cluster of guests near the center table. Not loud, but enough for Maya to hear. Maya's ears rang for half a second. She felt the old instinct to disappear, smile, nod, get small. She had used that instinct in the diner when customers snapped their fingers. She had used it at the school office when she didn't have enough money for a field trip. She had used it when landlords looked at her paperwork and saw risk. But this room was not the diner. This room was a trap with pretty lights. And Maya had brought a folder. She took a slow breath. The air smelled of flowers, butter, and something smoky from the kitchen. Her hands were steady now, not because she wasn't scared, but because fear had stopped being new. "Thank you," Maya said, looking at Elaine. "That's kind." Elaine's smile widened, satisfied, as if Maya had accepted her place. Then Maya turned her gaze outward, across the tables, across the faces. "I'm grateful to be invited," Maya continued, her voice calm. "And since I'm here, I should say something." Elaine blinked once. "Oh," Maya nodded slightly. "Just something small." She stepped forward, toward the head table and the stage. She wasn't supposed to move like that. She could feel it in the room, the subtle tension when someone walks off script. A man in a dark suit near the stage shifted as if to intercept her, but Adrian Hartwell lifted a hand. Not fast, just firm, and the man stopped. Adrian stood up. He didn't approach Maya like a hero. He approached like a man trying to understand what was happening in his own house. When he got close, Maya could see the tired lines at the corners of his eyes, and the faint redness on one knuckle, like he had been squeezing his hand too tightly earlier. "Miss Brooks," Adrian said quietly. "Maya," she corrected softly. "Thank you for letting me come." Adrian's gaze flicked to Elaine, then back to Maya. "Elaine told me you're someone she met recently." Maya felt the heat rise again, but she held it down. "She met me at the restaurant where I work. She came in with friends." Elaine's laugh floated over, too light. "Oh, don't make it sound so dramatic." Maya turned slightly so she could see Elaine without giving her the center of her attention. "It wasn't dramatic," she said. "It was just clear." Elaine tilted her head. "Clear." Maya opened her clutch and pulled out the folded folder. The paper seemed too ordinary in a room like this. Just sheets, edges a little worn. "I wasn't going to say anything tonight," Maya said, and now she aimed her voice toward Adrian. "But I realized something after your wife invited me." Elaine's smile tightened. Maya held up a hand. Not rude, just asking for space. "I realize that people in your world don't get corrected often. Not when something is going wrong. Because everyone is afraid of being the one to make it uncomfortable." A few guests leaned in. Someone's fork clinked against a plate, then stilled. Adrian didn't interrupt. He just watched Maya with a cautious, sharp focus. Maya drew a breath. She could feel her heart beating hard now, not in panic, but in purpose. "The foundation you're raising money for tonight," Maya said. "The one that supports scholarships and community programs. It's a good thing." Elaine's eyes narrowed, almost daring Maya to continue. Maya continued. "But the numbers in the program brochure didn't match what was posted publicly last quarter. I remembered that because I used to do compliance work. I still read financial summaries sometimes. It's a habit." A quiet movement went through the room, the kind of movement people made when a conversation turned from entertainment to risk. Adrian's face changed just a fraction. A muscle in his jaw tightened. Maya flipped open the folder. I checked again, and I went a little deeper, because when you're a single mom, you learn to be careful, not just with money, with anything that looks too smooth. Elaine's voice sharpened. "You had no right." Adrian raised his hand again. His voice, when he spoke, was still calm, but the calm came from control. Elaine let her speak. Elaine froze, her smile gone now. Maya kept her eyes on Adrian. "I'm not accusing anyone in this room of stealing," she said, careful, precise. "I'm saying there are discrepancies that should be looked at, and the person who will be blamed, if this becomes public, won't be someone in a gown." A hush fell so deep that Maya could hear the soft whisper of the strings on the stage. Adrian took the folder gently from Maya's hand. His fingers brushed the paper. He flipped through it, fast but thorough. His eyes moved like a man reading a contract he wished he didn't have to read. At the edge of the room, the man in the dark suit, security or staff, tilted his head and murmured into an earpiece. Elaine stood very still, her face a careful mask now, but her breathing had changed. Maya could see it in the way her chest rose quickly, then slowed again. Adrian closed the folder. He didn't announce anything dramatic. He didn't shout. He didn't turn it into a spectacle. He looked at Maya and said quietly, "Thank you." Maya nodded once. Then Adrian turned to the man in the dark suit. "Get me our foundation director," he said. "Now, and my legal counsel." Quietly. The man nodded and moved. Elaine's lips parted. "Adrian, this is absurd. You're going to let—" Adrian's gaze flicked to her, and the room felt colder. "Not here," he said softly. "Not like this." Elaine's eyes widened in shock, like she wasn't used to being told no in public. Maya stood there, still and small in the middle of something that had become much bigger than her. And then something strange happened. People, real people, not just the ones Elaine had imagined, began to look at Maya differently. Not with pity, with attention, with the kind of respect that arrived late, but still mattered. A woman at a nearby table, older, silver hair and a smooth bob, reached for her glass, but didn't drink. She watched Maya with a measured expression, like she had been waiting for someone to say out loud what others avoided. A man across the room leaned toward his partner and whispered something, his eyes never leaving Maya. Maya didn't feel triumphant. She felt tired, because standing up like that didn't erase the months she had spent counting coins for laundry. It didn't erase Lily's quiet questions at night, the ones that hurt because they were asked softly. Still, the room was stunned. Not because Maya was secretly royalty, or because of some impossible twist. Because the joke Elaine had tried to make had turned into a mirror, and everyone could see themselves in it. Adrian Hartwell stepped closer to Maya again, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "Did you really work in compliance?" he asked. "Yes," Maya said. "Before. Why are you waiting tables now?" His tone held no judgment, just genuine confusion. Maya swallowed. The question hit a tender place, because people asked it like curiosity, like a puzzle, like her life was a strange movie choice. But her life wasn't a choice. It was a series of decisions made under pressure. "My daughter's father left," Maya said simply. "Not with drama. Just gone. And my mom got sick. And then she died. And then I moved. And then the job I had was too far and didn't pay enough after childcare." She paused, then added, quieter, "And I needed something flexible. Something that didn't fire me because my kid had a fever." Adrian's gaze softened, but it didn't turn into pity. It turned into something heavier. "Elaine invited you tonight as a joke," he said, more like a statement than a question. Maya's mouth tightened. "She invited me to make herself feel bigger." Adrian glanced toward Elaine, who had been pulled into a tight circle of friends now. Her smile forced, her eyes sharp with panic. "I'm sorry," Adrian said. Maya's shoulders lifted slightly, then fell. "I'm not here for apologies." "Then why are you here?" Adrian asked. Maya looked down at her hands. They were clean, but the skin around her nails was rough from too much hot water and cheap soap. "I'm here because Lily's school has a scholarship program," she said, "and I heard this foundation supports things like that. I'm here because even if I get embarrassed, my daughter still needs a chance. And because sometimes you don't get invited into rooms like this unless someone is trying to use you. But it's still a door." Adrian stared at her for a long moment. Then, without making it dramatic, he nodded. "I understand." He didn't say, "I'll fix it." He didn't promise to save her. He just looked at her like she was a person and not a storyline. A staff member approached, whispering something to Adrian. Adrian listened, then exhaled slowly. He turned back to Maya. "Would you stay?" he asked. "Not for the party. For a conversation. Somewhere quieter." Maya's instinct screamed to leave. To grab her coat, run back to her car, go home, and hold Lily, and pretend this never happened. But she also knew something else. If she walked out now, Elaine would tell whatever story she wanted, and it would stick. The single mom waitress caused a scene. The single mom waitress tried to ruin a charity event. The single mom waitress got put in her place. Maya looked Adrian in the eye. "I'll stay," she said, "but I'm leaving by 10. I have to pick up my daughter." Adrian nodded, as if that boundary made sense in a way the ballroom didn't. 10, he agreed. The next hour moved strangely. The party continued, but the air had changed. Laughter sounded thinner. Conversations had edges. Maya was guided to a smaller lounge off the ballroom, where the lights were dimmer and the furniture was softer. A glass wall showed the city beyond. Dark buildings, scattered lights, a distant hum. Adrian sat across from her, not too close. A woman in a practical suit joined them, a lawyer, maybe, or a Foundation staff member. Her name was Dana Price, and she introduced herself with a firm handshake and a face that didn't waste time on pretending. "Ms. Brooks," Dana said, flipping open a small notebook. "Thank you for bringing this to us. We'll need to verify everything." "I understand," Maya said. "I've already sent myself copies with timestamps. There's a public record. It's not hard to track." Dana's eyebrows lifted, impressed despite herself. "You are thorough." Maya didn't smile. "Thorough is how you survive when you don't have cushions." Adrian watched her closely. They asked questions, careful and specific. Where did she find the numbers? Which reports? What made her suspicious? Maya answered without exaggeration. She didn't dramatize. She simply told the truth, like it was a list of steps she had followed. When Dana stepped out to make calls, Adrian stayed. For a moment, the room was quiet enough that Maya could hear the faint buzz of the chandelier above them. Adrian rubbed his thumb over the edge of the folder. "You didn't have to do this," he said. Maya looked at him. "Yes, I did." Adrian's lips pressed together. "Why?" Maya's voice softened. "Because foundations like this are supposed to help people like me. And if there's even a chance money is being mishandled, it doesn't just hurt a company. It hurts kids. It hurts families. It hurts the people who never get invited into the room." Adrian's gaze dropped, and for the first time, Maya saw something like shame in him, not for what she had done, but for what he had allowed to happen by not looking closely enough. "I thought we had safeguards," Adrian said quietly. Maya leaned back slightly. The navy dress felt stiff at her ribs. "Safeguards aren't just documents," she said. "They're people. People who aren't afraid to tell you the truth." Adrian nodded once. "I think I forgot that." A knock came at the door. Dana returned, her expression steady but tense. "Adrian, I've reached the Foundation director. He's on his way. And I've called an external audit firm we've used before. If you authorize it tonight, we can start quietly tomorrow morning." "Do it," Adrian said. Dana hesitated. "Elaine will react." Adrian's eyes flicked toward the ballroom. "Elaine already reacted," he said. "She just did it with a smile." Maya watched him carefully. She had seen men like him before. Men who used calm to avoid conflict, who let someone else run wild because it was easier than facing it. But she also saw that he was not smiling now. He was choosing. The Foundation director arrived. A man named Curtis Hale, middle-aged, sweating slightly at the temples even in the cool room. He shook Adrian's hand too hard, then tried to laugh as if this was a misunderstanding. Dana didn't laugh. Maya sat quietly while the adult spoke. She listened to the tone shifts, the careful language that meant serious problems. She watched Curtis's eyes dart toward the door, toward the ballroom, toward escape. At one point, Curtis looked at Maya with irritation. "And who is she again?" he asked, as if she was a stain on the rug. Maya didn't flinch. Adrian answered before she could. She's the reason we're catching this before it becomes a headline, he said. Speak respectfully. Curtis's face tightened. He forced a nod. Maya felt something in her chest loosen, not because she needed Adrian to defend her like a savior, but because she needed the room to understand she was not disposable. By the time the conversation ended, it was 9:46. Maya stood, checking her phone. Lily's babysitter had sent a photo. Lily asleep on a couch with her thumb near her mouth, a blanket half on, half off. Maya's chest ached with love and guilt all at once. I have to go, Maya said. Adrian stood too. I'll have someone drive you, he offered immediately. Maya's eyes narrowed slightly. No, it's late, Adrian said. And you've had. Maya lifted her hand again, that same calm boundary. I came here because of a scholarship and because of the foundation, not because I need someone to manage my life. Adrian stopped. He breathed out slowly. You're right, he said. I apologize. Maya nodded. She grabbed her coat from the rack, the fabric smelling faintly of storage. As she walked back through the ballroom, people watched her with a new kind of attention. A few smiled, not mocking now. One woman touched her arm gently and whispered, Thank you. Maya didn't know how to respond, so she just nodded and kept walking. Near the entrance, Elaine stood with a group of women, her face carefully bright again. But when Maya passed, Elaine's smile flickered. Elaine stepped out of the group and moved toward Maya, intercepting her like a dancer blocking a stage. You really enjoyed yourself, Elaine said, her voice low. Maya looked at her. Elaine's eyes were glossy with anger. I didn't come for enjoyment, Maya said. Elaine's mouth tightened. You embarrassed me. Maya's expression stayed even. You tried to embarrass me. Elaine leaned closer. Do you know who I am? Maya's breath stayed steady. Yes, she said. And you know who I am too. You just thought it didn't matter. Elaine's nostrils flared. You think you've won something tonight. Maya shook her head slowly. No, she said. I think I survived something tonight. There's a difference. Elaine's eyes hardened. Don't get comfortable. Maya didn't reply. She stepped around Elaine and kept walking. Outside, the air was cold enough to sting. Maya's breath fogged faintly. The city sounded distant, like traffic wrapped in cotton. As she walked to her car, her phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Call me when you get home. Adrian. Maya stared at it for a moment, then slid the phone into her pocket without replying. Because she had learned something in her life. When people with power offered attention, it could be kindness, or it could be another kind of trap. She wasn't sure yet which one this was. The next morning, Maya woke before her alarm. She lay still for a moment, listening. The apartment was quiet except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. Lily's small breaths came from the bedroom, steady and slow. Maya turned her head on the pillow and stared at the ceiling. She could still smell the ballroom in her hair, flowers and perfume, and something like polished wood. Then her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from her manager at the diner. Maya's stomach dropped before she even answered. Hello, she said, keeping her voice quiet so she wouldn't wake Lily. Her manager, Ross, sounded strained. Maya, don't panic. That sentence always meant panic. What happened? Maya asked. Ross cleared his throat. Someone called this morning. They said you were involved in some kind of disruption at a private event last night. They asked if we screen our staff. Maya closed her eyes briefly. She could see Elaine's face, that smile, that promise. Don't get comfortable. It wasn't a disruption, Maya said. Ross cut in, lowering his voice. I know you, okay? I told them you're one of our best. But the owner is nervous. Maya sat up slowly. The sheets were cold against her legs. Are they firing me? She asked, and her voice stayed steady only because she had practiced steady. No, Ross said quickly. Not yet. But they told me to reduce your shifts this week, just until things calm down. Maya's throat tightened. Reduced shifts meant reduced tips. Reduced shifts meant the electric bill that was already late. Reduced shifts meant Lily's school lunch account dipping into red again. Maya swallowed. Okay, she said. Thanks for telling me. After the call, She sat still for a long time. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Adrian. Did you get home safe? I'd like to talk. No pressure. Maya stared at the screen. The words no pressure looked polite, but power didn't vanish because someone typed kindly. Still, she needed answers. She needed to understand what game Elaine was playing and whether Adrian was truly different. Maya typed one sentence. My job is being affected. If you want to talk, it has to be about that. A moment later, Adrian responded. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I'll meet you wherever you choose. Daytime. Public. Maya exhaled slowly. At least he understood one thing. Control was part of safety. They met that afternoon at a small cafe near a park. Nothing fancy. Just wooden tables and the smell of bread and cinnamon. Maya arrived early, wearing her diner jacket. Hair pulled back. Hands still faintly smelling like dish soap. Adrian arrived alone. No entourage. No bodyguard. He wore a simple coat and carried a paper cup, as if trying to blend in. But his posture still marked him as someone used to rooms opening for him. He saw Maya and walked over, stopping a respectful distance away. Thank you for meeting me, he said. Maya didn't stand. She just nodded toward the chair across from her. Sit, he sat. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The cafe had soft chatter, and from outside, a child's laugh floated in when the door opened. Adrian's eyes looked tired. I heard what Elaine did, he said. Maya's jaw tightened. She called my job. Adrian nodded slowly. Yes. Maya leaned forward slightly. And Adrian's hands tightened around his cup. And it was wrong. Maya let out a small, humorless breath. Wrong doesn't pay my rent. Adrian flinched, not offended, just struck by the truth. You're right, he said. I'm not going to ask you to accept an apology and pretend that fixes the consequences. Maya watched him closely. She had learned to read people fast. People lied with their mouths, but their hands told the truth. His hands were steady, but the cup had a slight dent where he'd gripped it too hard. What are you going to do? Maya asked. Adrian set the cup down carefully. First, I'm handling the foundation issue. It's bigger than the event. Second, I'm handling Elaine. Maya's eyes narrowed. Handling, she repeated. That's a vague word. Adrian's gaze stayed on hers. Elaine will not be involved with the foundation moving forward, he said. Not as a face, not as a host, not behind scenes. And she will not interfere with you again. Maya felt her chest tighten. Can you guarantee that? Adrian's mouth tightened. I can't control her choices, he admitted. But I can control what I allow around me. And I can put boundaries in place with consequences. Maya leaned back slightly. You should have put boundaries in place a long time ago. Adrian looked down for a moment, then nodded. Yes. The honesty surprised her. People like him usually defended themselves first. Maya's voice softened just a fraction, not because she was forgiving, but because she was tired. Why didn't you? She asked. Adrian looked out the window for a second, watching a woman push a stroller past the cafe. Because it was easier not to see it, he said quietly. And because Elaine and we've built a life that runs on appearances. I told myself it didn't matter as long as the company was doing good things. He looked back at Maya. Last night made it impossible to keep telling myself that. Maya's fingers tapped once against the edge of the table. My shifts got cut, she said. I can't afford that. Adrian nodded. Tell me what would help, realistically. Maya almost laughed. The question sounded so normal, so simple, like help was a menu you could choose from. But she forced herself to answer because pride didn't keep lights on. I need stable income, she said. I need my job protected or a better one. And I needed to work with childcare. That's it. Adrian's eyebrows lifted slightly, as if he'd expected something bigger. You could do more than wait tables, he said. Maya's eyes hardened. I know. Adrian nodded quickly. I didn't mean that as. I know what you meant, Maya said, and her voice stayed firm. But I'm not going to sit here and let you talk like my life is a puzzle you're solving. Adrian went still. Then he nodded again, slower. You're right, he said. That was disrespectful. I'm sorry. Maya watched him. If you want to help, she said, help in a way that doesn't make me owe you. Adrian's eyes tightened with thought. Okay, he said. No strings. No hidden favors. No charity that turns you into a story. Maya's shoulders loosened slightly. Adrian took a breath. My company has openings, he said. Not executive. Not glamorous. But stable positions. Benefits. Predictable hours. And we have an employee support program for childcare. But honestly, it hasn't been used well. I can connect you with HR. Maya's lips pressed together. If Elaine knows, she'll block it. Adrian's jaw tightened. Elaine does not control HR, he said. And after last night, she will not control my decisions. Maya held his gaze. If I take a job at your company, she said, people will talk. They already will, Adrian said quietly. But they'll talk less if it's formal and transparent. Maya thought of Lily, of school mornings, of bills. She thought of the diner owner's nervousness. The wasteability was always held hostage by someone else's opinion. Send me the details, she said. Adrian nodded. I will. Maya stood, signaling the meeting was over. Adrian stood too. As she turned to leave, Adrian said, Maya. She paused. I want you to know, he said. I didn't ask you here to fix your life. I asked you here because last night you did something my entire circle is afraid to do. You told the truth. Maya didn't soften. Not yet. She just nodded once and walked out. Outside, the air smelled like damp leaves and car exhaust. Maya pulled her jacket tighter and headed toward the bus stop. She told herself it was just a job conversation. She didn't tell herself that part of her wanted to believe a man like Adrian Hartwell could change without turning her into collateral damage. Over the next week, things got harder before they got better. Elaine didn't call Maya directly again. Elaine didn't need to. Maya noticed small things at the diner. Customers who stared too long. People whispering after paying. One woman left a tip that was folded into the shape of a small, mocking bow. Another customer asked, smiling, So are you famous now? Ross tried to shield her, assigning her to quieter sections. But quieter sections meant fewer tips. Maya applied for the job at Adrian's company anyway. She filled out the application late at night while Lily colored at the kitchen table. The laptop fan whirred loudly, overheating like it was also tired. When Maya got an email inviting her to an interview, she stared at it for a full minute without breathing. The interview took place in a clean office building with glass walls and calm lighting. The lobby smelled like lemon polish. Maya wore her best blouse and a jacket that had been pressed with steam from a kettle because she didn't have an iron. The HR coordinator, a woman named Marissa, greeted her with a professional smile. Marissa didn't gush about the gala. She didn't mention Elaine. She didn't make Maya feel like a spectacle. That alone felt like relief. They asked Maya about her old compliance work. Maya answered carefully, honest about the gap, honest about why she left. She didn't oversell. She didn't beg. When Marissa asked, "What's your strongest skill?" Maya paused, then said, "I notice what people try not to notice, and I document it." Marissa's eyebrows lifted slightly. Then she smiled. "Real this time. That can be useful," she said. 2 days later, Maya got the offer. It wasn't a high position. It was a compliance assistant role in the ethics and review department. Steady hours, benefits, and a salary that made Maya's hands shake when she saw the numbers. Maya accepted. When she told Lily, Lily's eyes widened. "Does that mean we can buy the good cereal?" Lily asked, serious. Maya laughed, the sound unexpected in her own throat. "Yes," she said, "we can buy the good cereal." Lily leaned into her and hugged her waist hard. Maya pressed her face into Lily's hair and breathed in the warm, familiar smell of shampoo and crayons. But even as relief settled into Maya's bones, tension waited at the edges. Because Elaine Hartwell did not like losing. On Maya's third day at the company, a rumor spread. Not from official channels. Not in emails. In the quiet, sideways way office rumors lived at the coffee machine, near the elevator, in the pause before someone said your name. Maya heard it in the break room when two women stopped talking as she entered. She heard it when a man in another department looked her up and down and smirked as if he knew something. Then she overheard the phrase that made her stomach clench. She's the waitress. Not Maya. Not Miss Brooks. The waitress. She washed her hands in the bathroom sink and stared at her reflection. The fluorescent light made her look paler than she felt. Her hands, still rough, looked out of place against the clean counter. She told herself to focus on the work. Work was something she could control. Work was something that didn't care about gossip if you did it right. Then, late that afternoon, her supervisor, a calm man named Leon, called her into his office. Leon gestured toward a chair. "Sit," he said gently. Maya sat, her heart beating hard. Leon folded his hands. "We've had some noise," he said. Maya's jaw tightened. "Because of your CEO's wife." Leon's eyes flicked up, surprised by the directness. Then he nodded slightly. "Yes, and because some people don't know how to behave." Maya breathed out slow. Leon continued, "I want you to be clear on something. You were hired because you were qualified, not because you were invited somewhere, not because you made a scene. You were hired because your record shows competence, and because your interview proved it." Maya's throat tightened unexpectedly. Leon leaned forward slightly. "If anyone makes this workplace hostile for you," he said, "you tell me. We have policies. We enforce them." Maya stared at him. "Thank you," she said quietly. Leon nodded. "Also," he added, "Adrian has asked us to do a review of Foundation safeguards. You'll be assisting. Not because you're a symbol. Because you already demonstrated you can spot inconsistencies." Maya's hands clenched slightly in her lap. A mix of pride and fear moved through her. Being noticed could be opportunity. It could also be a spotlight that burned. That night, Adrian called her. Maya hesitated before answering, then picked up. "Hello." Adrian's voice came through steady but tired. "How was your first week?" Maya walked to the window and looked out at the parking lot, where streetlights made pale circles on the pavement. "It was work," she said. Adrian paused. "That means it wasn't easy." Maya's mouth tightened. "People talk," she said, "but I can handle talk." Adrian's exhale sounded rough. "Elaine is escalating," he admitted. Maya's spine stiffened. "How?" "She's telling people you're using me," Adrian said. "That you planned this. That you're after money." Maya's chest tightened, anger rising like a hot tide. "And you're calling to tell me that?" "I'm calling to tell you," Adrian said, careful, "that I'm putting a stop to it." Maya's voice sharpened. "You should have stopped it the first time she walked into my diner and treated me like dirt." Silence held for a second, heavy. Then Adrian said quietly, "You're right." Maya swallowed. She didn't want to be someone's moral lesson. She wanted stability, not drama. Adrian continued, "I met with Elaine today," he said. "I told her she is not to contact you, your workplace, or anyone around you. I told her if she continues, there will be legal and personal consequences." Maya closed her eyes briefly. "Personal consequences," she repeated. Adrian's voice stayed even. "Our marriage is already strained," he said, "but this crosses a line I can't ignore anymore." Maya didn't feel satisfied. She felt sad, strangely, because even villains were still people, and the collapse of a marriage was not something to celebrate. Still, she couldn't afford to be soft. "Adrian," she said, "I need you to understand something." "Yes," he said. "I'm not your project," Maya said, "and I'm not your weapon against your wife. If you're changing your life, do it because it's right, not because I embarrassed you at a gala." Adrian's breath caught slightly. Then he said, "That's fair." Maya's voice softened just a fraction. "I came to your company for a job," she said. "That's it. I'm building my life. I'm not stepping into yours." Adrian was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that surprised her. "I don't want you in my life as a symbol," he said. "I want you in my life as a reminder that I can't keep choosing comfort over truth." Maya's throat tightened again, not from romance, not from fantasy, from something simpler, from being seen as a person with impact. But she didn't let the moment linger. "Good night," she said. "Good night," Adrian replied, and Maya hung up. Weeks passed. Work became routine. Maya learned the office rhythms, the quiet mornings, the email threads, the way people avoided conflict by using polite phrases. She also learned which coworkers were kind and which ones smiled without meaning it. At home, Lily adjusted too. The good cereal appeared in the cupboard, and Lily grinned like it was treasure. Maya paid bills on time for the first time in months, and the absence of late fees felt like peace. But Elaine's shadow didn't vanish. It showed up in small ways. A former friend of Elaine's appearing at Maya's diner on a day she covers shift for extra money. Staring too long. A parent at Lily's school suddenly acting distant. Then, one afternoon, Maya found an envelope taped to her apartment door. No stamp. No return address. Inside was a printed photo of Maya at the gala, walking behind Adrian in the ballroom. Someone had circled her face in black marker and written one word beneath it. Climber. Maya's hand shook. She sat down on her couch slowly, the paper crinkling under her fingers. Lily ran in from the bedroom, holding a drawing. "Mom, look," Lily said brightly. Maya forced a smile. "That's beautiful," she said, kissing Lily's forehead. But later, when Lily was asleep, Maya stared at the envelope again and felt something heavy settle in her chest. She didn't want to live like this, always bracing, always defending, always being rewritten by someone else's narrative. The next day, Maya went to Leon's office. She placed the envelope on his desk. Leon's face tightened when he saw it. "This is harassment," Leon said. Maya nodded. "Yes." Leon leaned back and exhaled slowly. "I'll escalate this to HR and legal," he said, "and I'll inform Adrian." Maya's eyes stayed steady. "I'm not asking for special treatment," she said. "I'm asking for safety, like anyone else." Leon nodded firmly. "That's exactly what it is." That evening, Adrian called again. Maya answered, already tired. Adrian's voice was tight. "I'm sorry," he said immediately. "This has gone too far." Maya's jaw clenched. "It went too far when she called my job." "I know," Adrian said, "and I didn't act fast enough." Maya's voice sharpened. "So act now." Adrian was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Elaine is leaving the house." Maya blinked. "What?" "I asked her to," Adrian said, and his voice carried grief, not drama. "I told her she needs to step away while we figure out what kind of person she's choosing to be, and what kind of marriage this can be, if it can be." Maya stared at her kitchen wall, where Lily's drawings were taped with uneven pieces of tape. "I didn't ask you to end your marriage," Maya said quietly. "I'm not doing it for you," Adrian replied. "I'm doing it because I can't keep living next to cruelty and calling it love." Maya swallowed. The words landed heavy. Adrian continued, "I'm also going to make a public statement." Maya's stomach tightened. "No," she said immediately. Adrian paused. "Why not?" "Because then you turn this into a story," Maya said. "A headline, a performance, and I become the symbol again." Adrian exhaled slowly. "You're right," he said. "Then what do you want?" Maya's voice was steady. "I want you to handle your world," she said, quietly, firmly, with policies and consequences, not speeches. Adrian was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Okay." For the first time since the gala, Maya felt a thin thread of trust begin to form, not because Adrian was powerful, but because he listened when it cost him comfort. Still, trust didn't erase fear. A month later, the foundation audit found the truth. It wasn't a dramatic, movie-like theft with suitcases of cash. It was something more common and more disappointing: misallocated funds, inflated vendor invoices, contracts awarded without proper review, and a few people quietly benefiting while telling themselves it was normal. Curtis Hale resigned before he could be fired. A formal investigation began. Policies were tightened. And because Maya had brought the issue forward before it exploded, the damage was contained. The board invited Maya to a meeting. When Maya walked into the boardroom, she wore a simple blouse and slacks, her hair neatly pinned, her hands still slightly rough. The room smelled like coffee and paper, not perfume and flowers. The board members greeted her with polite nods. Some looked at her with respect. A few looked at her with discomfort, as if she reminded them of their own cowardice. Adrian sat at the far end of the table. He didn't speak first. He let others speak. He let the process be the process. When it was Maya's turn, she didn't give a speech about empowerment. She didn't tell them she had changed their lives. She just explained what she saw and what she did, step by step. At the end, the older woman with silver hair, the one from the gala, spoke. "My name is Nora Ellis," she said, her voice calm. "I've served on this board for 12 years, and I want to say something directly." Maya met her gaze. Nora continued. "What happened at that gala should not have happened. Not the fun discrepancies. Not the way you were invited. Not the way you were treated. And if this board has any integrity, we will not pretend this was a one-time mistake." Maya felt her throat tighten. Nora leaned forward slightly. "We have a scholarship program," she said. "You mentioned your daughter. I would like to personally review her application." Maya's eyes widened slightly, cautious. "I don't want special." Nora lifted a hand. "Not special," she said. "Appropriate. Fair. The same review any child would get. But you will not be blocked because someone wanted to punish you." Maya swallowed hard. "Thank you," she said quietly. After the meeting, Adrian walked with Maya toward the elevator. The hallway smelled like fresh carpet and copier toner. "You did well," Adrian said. Maya let out a small breath. "I did my job." Adrian nodded. "Yes." They reached the elevator. The doors opened with a soft chime. Adrian didn't step in. He didn't assume. He waited, watching Maya for permission. Maya stepped inside, then turned. "Adrian," she said. "Yes." Maya's voice was steady. "There's something you need to understand." Adrian's gaze held hers. "Okay. You didn't save me," Maya said. "You gave me access to stability, but I built it, and I'm still building it." Adrian nodded slowly. "I know," he said. Maya's shoulders loosened. "Good." The doors began to close. Adrian spoke quickly, before the gap vanished. "Would you have coffee with me sometime?" he asked. "Not as a meeting. Not as a favor. Just coffee." Maya hesitated. The request wasn't romantic. It wasn't framed like a rescue. It was simple. Still, Maya's life had taught her to treat simplicity with caution. "I don't have room for drama," she said. Adrian's voice was quiet. "Neither do I." Maya looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. "One coffee," she said. "Public." Adrian's mouth curved slightly. "Of course," he said. The elevator doors closed fully. Maya leaned back against the wall and exhaled slowly. She didn't feel like she had won anything. She felt like she had reclaimed something. Her name, her dignity, her right to exist in rooms without being reduced. When she got home that evening, Lily ran to her with a school flyer. "Mom," Lily said, bouncing, "there's a school event next month. Like a fancy dinner. Parents can come." Maya's stomach tightened automatically at the word fancy. Lily looked up at her with wide eyes. "Will you come?" Maya knelt, smoothing Lily's hair. "Yes," she said. "I'll come." Lily grinned. "Will you wear a dress?" Maya laughed softly. "Maybe," she said. A week later, Maya met Adrian for coffee. He arrived on time. He didn't bring security. He didn't choose a place that screamed money. He chose a simple shop near the park again, where the chairs were slightly uneven and the smell of cinnamon lingered in the air. When Maya arrived, Adrian stood, polite. They talked about work, briefly. Then about Lily. Adrian asked questions that weren't invasive. Maya answered, careful. She didn't offer the whole story. She offered pieces, the way trust was built, small, earned. Adrian didn't talk about Elaine at first, but eventually, in the lull between sips, he said quietly, Elaine moved into an apartment across town. Maya's fingers tightened around her cup. Is she still doing things? Adrian shook his head. No, he said. She's angry, but she knows there are consequences now. Maya studied his face. And you, she asked. Are you okay? Adrian's eyes looked tired again, but different. Not numb. Just honest. I'm learning, he said. How much I've ignored. How much I've excused. How much I've hidden behind success. Maya's voice stayed calm. Learning doesn't erase what happened. I know, Adrian said. That's why I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just doing the work. Maya nodded slowly. They finished coffee. Adrian didn't try to extend it into dinner. He didn't ask for more. He walked Maya to her car, stopping a few feet away from the door. Thank you, he said. Maya nodded. Goodbye, Adrian. Goodbye, Maya, he replied. And that was it. No sweeping promises. No dramatic confessions. Just two adults learning how to exist in the same world without using each other. Months passed. Maya's life became steadier. She got used to office work again. She learned new software. She built relationships slowly. She advocated for clearer policies, not with speeches, but with consistent, boring diligence. Lily got the scholarship. When Maya received the email, she stared at it with shaking hands, then covered her mouth so she wouldn't sob loudly and scare Lily. When she told Lily, Lily screamed so loudly that the neighbor knocked on the wall. Maya laughed and cried at the same time, holding Lily so tightly Lily squirmed and giggled breathless. At the company, Adrian implemented changes that weren't flashy. Better reporting systems, clearer whistleblower protections, training that wasn't just for show, a fund set aside specifically for employee emergencies, administered by a committee, not by Adrian's personal discretion. Some executives complained quietly. Some donors asked questions. Some people resisted. Adrian didn't respond with speeches. He responded with consistency. Maya noticed, not because she wanted to admire him, because she had learned to watch for patterns, not moments. Elaine, meanwhile, became quieter in the public world. She didn't disappear. People like her rarely did, but the glow around her dimmed. She was no longer the smiling centerpiece of every event. One day, Maya received an email from an unfamiliar address. It was from Elaine. The message was short. I owe you an apology. I don't expect you to accept it. I wanted you to know I see what I did now. I'm sorry. Maya stared at the words for a long time. She didn't feel satisfaction. She didn't feel victory. She felt tired. She showed the email to Leon, documented it, and filed it away, because that was what safety looked like now. Records, boundaries, clarity. She didn't respond. Not because she wanted revenge, but because apology did not automatically earn access back into someone's life. A year after the gala, the foundation held another event. Not as flashy, not as polished. Still elegant, but more focused. This time, Maya wasn't invited as a joke. She was invited because she was part of the oversight committee now, one of several people ensuring funds went where they were supposed to go. When Maya arrived, she wore a simple dress she had bought herself. It fit her properly because she had chosen it. Her shoes were comfortable because she had bought them new for her own feet. She walked into the building with her shoulders back, not because she was performing confidence, but because she had practiced carrying her life differently now. Inside, the room looked similar. White tablecloths, soft lights, the quiet hum of money and intention. But the air felt different. People greeted Maya by name. Maya, Nora Ellis said warmly, hugging her briefly. You look well. Thank you, Maya said, and she meant it. Adrian approached, not rushing, not dramatic. He wore a simple suit again, his posture still heavy with responsibility, but less defensive now. Hi, he said. Hi, Maya replied. They stood side by side for a moment, watching guests move. A server passed with a tray of drinks. Maya's eyes flicked to the server's face, and she smiled at them naturally. The server smiled back, relieved, seen. Adrian noticed the exchange. You still watch hands, Adrian said quietly. Maya glanced at him. Always, she said. Adrian nodded, as if he understood that was not paranoia, but experience. Later in the evening, Adrian stepped onto the small stage to speak. He didn't make it about himself. He didn't mention scandal. He didn't create a dramatic narrative. He talked about transparency, about responsibility, about the quiet power of people who do unglamorous work correctly. Then he did something that made Maya's breath catch. He invited Leon, Dana, and Maya to stand with him. Not alone, not singled out, just part of a group. Maya walked up onto the stage, feeling the soft carpet under her shoes. She could hear the whisper of the crowd, the faint clink of silverware. She stood under the warm lights and looked out at the room. A year ago, she had walked into a similar room, feeling like she might be crushed. Now she stood there feeling something simpler. Present. Adrian spoke into the microphone. This foundation exists to support people, he said, not to decorate our reputation. And I want to acknowledge the people who made sure we remembered that. His eyes flicked toward Maya briefly, respectful, not possessive. Maya's heart beat steady. The applause was polite but real. Not thunderous, not performative. Just a room acknowledging truth. When the event ended, Maya stepped out into the night air. It was cold, but not biting. The city lights looked softer than before. Adrian walked beside her toward the entrance, then stopped. He didn't assume he was entitled to more conversation. Maya, he said quietly. Maya looked at him. Adrian's voice was gentle. Thank you, he said, not for saving anything, for insisting on respect. Maya nodded once. You learn, she said. Adrian's mouth tightened slightly. I'm still learning. Maya's gaze softened just a fraction. Good, she said. She turned toward her car, where Lily's note from a year ago still lived in her mind like a small flame. Be brave. Come home. Maya opened the car door and paused, looking back at Adrian once. He stood under the entrance lights, hands in his coat pockets, alone but not lost. Maya didn't feel the need to rescue him. She didn't feel pulled into his world. She felt grateful that her world had expanded without her losing herself. She got into her car, closed the door, and started the engine. As she drove home, the heater hummed softly, and the road lights passed like steady, quiet proof that she was moving forward. Not because someone powerful chose her, because she chose herself, again and again, even when the room tried to laugh. And when she opened her apartment door later that night, Lily ran out in her socks and wrapped her arms around Maya's waist, squeezing tight. You're home, Lily said, as if that was the most important thing in the world. Maya kissed the top of Lily's head and breathed in the warm smell of her child's hair. I'm home, Maya whispered, and for the first time in a long time, the words felt like a gentle exhale.